Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. This is the 10th video in our new international relations series where we will discuss in detail about a nation which is in the news and its relationship with India thoroughly from both UPSC prelims as well as mains perspective. The country that we will discuss today is Malaysia. Malaysia is located in Southeast Asia. Peninsular Malaysia shares a land and maritime border with Thailand and maritime borders with Singapore, Vietnam and Indonesia. East Malaysia shares land and maritime borders with Brunei and Indonesia, as well as maritime border with the Philippines and Vietnam. Kuala Lumpur is the national capital, the country's largest city. With a population of over 34 million, the country is the world's 43rd most populous country. Malaysia is tropical and is one of the 17 mega-diverse countries. It is home to numerous endemic species. Peninsular Malaysia is bounded from the west by Malacca Strait and the Andaman Sea, both connected to the Indian Ocean, and from the east by South China Sea, being the largest marginal sea in the Pacific Basin. The Straits of Johor off the south of Peninsular Malaysia acts as the maritime border of Malaysia and Singapore. Major rivers in Malaysia include the Baram, Kelantan, Johor, Klang, Kinta, etc. Kenyer Lake, Kenyer Lake, Tasik are the major lakes. Kenyer Lake is the biggest man-made lake in Southeast Asia. The highest and most prominent peak in Malaysia is Gunung Kinabalu. The country has its origins in the Malay kingdoms, which from the 18th century onwards became subject of the British Empire along with the British Strait Settlements Protectorate. During World War II, British Malay, along with the other nearby British and American colonies, was occupied by the Empire of Japan. Following 3 years of occupation, Peninsular Malaysia was briefly unified as the Malayan Union in 1946 until 1948, when it was restructured as the Federation of Malaya. The country achieved independence on 31st August 1957. On September 1963, independent Malaya united with the then British Crown colonies of North Borneo, Sarawak, and Singapore to become Malaysia. In August 1965, Singapore was expelled from the Federation and it became a separate independent country. Now coming to India-Malaysia relations. The historical ties between India and Malaysia traced back over a millennium. The relationship was significantly influenced by the Chola Empire between 19th and 13th centuries. The Cholas established extensive maritime trade routes that connected South India with the Malay Peninsula. It led to close cultural and economic exchanges. Under the reign of emperors like Rajaraja Chola I and Rajendra Chola I, the Cholas established control over parts of Southeast Asia including present-day Malaysia. India established diplomatic ties with the Federation of Malaya, which was the predecessor state of Malaysia in 1957. The two countries enjoyed a strong relationship in 1960s as a result of the personal friendship between the then Prime Ministers Jawaharlal Nehru and Tunku Abdul Rahman Putra. There has been growing engagement in all aspects of our bilateral relationship since the elevation of India-Malaysia relations to enhance strategic partnership during the visit of Pradhan Mantri Shri Narendra Modi to Malaysia in November 2015. Now let's take a look at some of the fields of cooperation between the two nations. Number 1. Geopolitical cooperation. India and Malaysia are members of key global forums like the Commonwealth of Nations, Non-Alignment Movement, G15 and G77. Malaysia also closely cooperate through ASEAN Plus and East Asia summits. India-Malaysia relations aligns with India's Act East policy. Close cooperation with Malaysia provides India the strategic pivot towards the ASEAN region and enhances its influence and connectivity in Southeast Asia. Deepened India-Malaysia relations also forms an important pillar of India's efforts to outreach to countries of the global south. Number 2. Economic relations. Bilateral trade between India and Malaysia has reached a record high of $19.5 billion. Malaysia is India's 13th largest trading partner. As per official figures of DPIIT, Malaysia ranks as the 26th largest investor in India with FDI inflow of $1.16 billion during the period April 2000 to September 2022. India is a significant investor in Malaysia, particularly in sectors like technology, manufacturing, and services. More than 150 Indian companies, including 61 Indian joint ventures and 3 Indian public sector undertakings, operate in Malaysia. Malaysia ranks as the 31st largest investor in India with FDI inflow of $3.3 billion. Besides this, investments worth $5 billion have been announced by various companies in the fields of renewable energy, especially green hydrogen, green ammonia, and also infrastructure projects. Exports from India includes mineral fuels, aluminium, meat, iron and steel, copper, organic chemicals, and machinery. Malaysian imports to India includes palm oil, mineral fuels, electrical machinery, animal or vegetable fats, and wood. ASEAN-India Business Summit 2023 also celebrated 30 years of ASEAN-India engagement with significant participation from Indian and Malaysian stakeholders. Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement between India and Malaysia boosted India's efforts for achievement of its foreign trade target of 2 trillion in merchandise exports by 2030. The exploration of option of local currency trade between the Indian rupee and Malaysian ringgit will help in reducing reliance on the US dollar and enhancing economic resilience. India and Malaysia have also agreed to support and expedite the review process of ASEAN-India Trade in Goods Agreement and make it more effective and business-friendly. The aim is to conclude the review by 2025 and enhance supply chain connections between India and ASEAN countries. Number 3. Geostrategic collaborations. India-Malaysia defense relations have steadily grown over the years. The MOU on defense cooperation signed in 1993 is the cornerstone of defense relations between the two countries. The 12th edition of the MidCom took place in 19 September 2023 at New Delhi. Regular staff talks between the services at apex level have been extremely successful. Indian Navy ships regularly pay port visits to Malaysia. India has been a regular participant at the Langkawi International Maritime and Aerospace Exhibition and Defence Services Asia Exhibition in Malaysia. India and Malaysia engage in regular defence cooperation meetings and joint military exercises. For example, Exercise Harimau Shakti, Exercise Samudra Lakshmana, and Exercise Udara Shakti. Cooperative mechanism between India and Malaysia on the Straits of Malacca and Singapore is key for the establishment of rule-based order in Indo-Pacific. Number 4. Educational collaborations. India and Malaysia signed a Memorandum of Understanding in 2010 for bilateral cooperation in higher education. Around 4,400 Indian students are studying in Malaysia in public and private universities, mainly in the stream of engineering, medicine, business administration, and social sciences. Likewise, more than 3,000 Malaysian students are studying in Indian institutes. India offers 40 slots to Malaysia under the Indian Technical and Economic Cooperation Program annually. The Indian Council for Cultural Relations offers 3 scholarships under the General Scholarship Scheme and 2 scholarships under the Education Exchange Program every year to Malaysia. India also offers 20 seats under the Ayush Scholarship Scheme. Number 5. Diaspora and cultural ties. Malaysia is home to over 2.95 million large Indian diaspora and the second largest persons of Indian origin community in the world after the United States. India and Malaysia share close cultural cooperation. The Indian Cultural Centre Kuala Lumpur, which was established in 2010, and the Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose Indian Cultural Centre offers classes in Carnatic vocal music, Kathak dance, yoga and Hindi with teachers from both India and Malaysia. Hikayat Seri Rama is the Malay literary adaptation of the Hindu Ramayana epic, which reflects local adaptations and close literary cooperation. Ramayana's themes are reflected in local stories, arts and performances of Malaysia. The Sri Veera Hanuman temple in Malaysia also shows the shared cultural heritage with its architecture and tales deeply rooted in Indian traditions. However, there are certain issues between the two nations, such as number 1, the economic relationship between India and Malaysia faces challenges such as higher import tariffs and trade restrictions. This has impeded the growth of bilateral trade between India and Malaysia. Number 2. Malaysia's strong criticism of Indian government's policies like the Citizenship Amendment Act and the reorganization of Jammu and Kashmir has created further problems between the two nations. Number 3. There are concerns of illegal immigration, exploitation of workers, and human trafficking surrounding the Indian diaspora in Malaysia. Number 4. The increase in Chinese influence in the politics and economy of Malaysia creates further geopolitical and geostrategic challenges for India. In the recent India visit of the Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, India-Malaysia relations were upgraded to comprehensive strategic partnership. It was noted during the visit that India and Malaysia have close similarities as both are multicultural, multi-ethnic and multi-religious countries. Several key agreements were signed during the visit, providing impetus for the deepening of India-Malaysia relations. This goes on to show India and Malaysia recognize each other's importance, especially in the economic and Indo-Pacific realm. Both should use ASEAN as a platform to negotiate and conclude their problems and focus on further strengthening the ties. This brings us to the end of our video. We hope that you found it informative for your exam preparations. Please click on the like button, share our videos with your friends and subscribe to Exact IAS on YouTube and follow us on Instagram. Thank you for watching this. I will see you in our next.